Hey there, conquistadors. I'm Isaac.
I'm Brandon.
And together we make Table at Gaming, and we are bringing you episode 4, the final episode of the Stone-Faced King Crucible of Wills campaign. We have Ragodosh. He is at the walls of Pravia. Do you have something to say?
I'm glad you're using the proper brand name. We won't want people to think we weren't respecting the trademark.
We have to respect the... Actually, I did... The Crucible of Wills, the Stone-Faced campaign, TM by Bellum, who makes Conquest Last Argument of Kings. This is a Conquest Last Argument of Kings narrative battle report. Anyways, Ragodosh. His Dwegum forces have marched past the toll booth. The toll house.
Toll house, yeah.
That Eric Schurr defended as long as he could. If you remember how that went, I lost, so we didn't hold it for very long. So he marched right past that. He's right up against the walls of Pravia, his final prize. There are people celebrating inside. They have the legendary dragon blade of his hold. He lines up his Hellbringer Drakes and Fire Sorcerers. Eric Schurr looks out over the wall, says, "We have a problem. If those cannons start shooting at this wall, if those sorcerers start throwing fireballs at this wall, this party is, the heat's going to get turned up, but not in the way that we want it to."
No.
And so this is Eric Schurr gathers the finest warriors that have been assembled in all of his delaying actions throughout this campaign. The Chamberlain, who runs the city, has been able to gather some of the most elite forces in the 100 Kingdoms. Eric Schurr rides out, or I guess walks out because he's not a mounted character.
Yeah.
And he's going to try to destroy the Hellbringer Drakes before they can shoot at the walls. In this mission, ignore the fact that we have a Hellbringer Drake model. The objectives, which are circles on the field, will be representing the Hellbringer Drakes. At least that's what I gather, associating the fluff to the mission objectives. There's going to be five circles on the board, and if we stand in them, we gain points. I think that represents either defending or killing.
Yeah, exactly.
The Hellbringer Drakes. Do you have anything to add? I've talked a lot.
I'm excited to play this. It is going to be the largest game of Conquest I've ever played.
Yes, we're up to it's narrative, so I'm not, and we don't have the army builder to make it easy, and there's bonuses that go. Because I lost the last game, I get 80 points of free stuff that I didn't include in the army building process. We're about 2,300 points each.
So I'm excited. A lot of big units, new stuff that you haven't seen last time. So I think it'll be a great game. I'm excited to see if my Dwegum forces and the Stone-Faced King can take down the wall, or if Eric Schurr will meet us on fair battlegrounds and take out the Drakes.
For those who have been following along, we'll go over it in the army segment, which I'm about to segue to. I finally brought light units. So, yes. Galaxy brain thinking here. And now, anyways, we're going to the armies.
So Ragodosh Force is Ragodosh himself, Fire Sorcerer, Steel Shaper. So this is the special unit, the Throne of Anagalosh. The hold things are the Bloodbound, which are right here. Then we have the Hellseaters, which are the Fireforge right here. And in addition, we have Fireforged, Hold Ballista, Hold Thanes, a minimum size unit of Dragon Slayers, and then we have the Fire Golems. And that is the force. I'm excited because these guys back here are brand new for this week, and they just came off the painting press, and I think they're going to do fun things.
For the 100 Kingdom forces, we have Eric Schurr as the Warlord. He's effectively an Imperial officer with some different things. We have a Noble Lord, gassed up to the nines, so that he's going to lead his household knights and cause a bunch of damage charging, unless he takes a charge that requires a 4 and tries to re-roll it and doesn't succeed. That's a callback to episode 3. You should watch it. Chapter Mage, she's Water School. She is not one of the warlords in this, so who knows what I was thinking there. 3 stands of Mercenary Crossbowmen. 6 stands of seasoned veteran men-at-arms. 3 stands of veteran mounted squires with the Palatine. The Hangman's Due storied regiment of Gilded Legion, 6 stands of Steel Legion, another 6 stands of Blades of Providence, the Steel Legion storied regiment, and then 3 stands of River Wardens, the storied regiment of Imperial Ranger Corps.
All right, folks, there's quite a few mechanics at play in this one, so bear with me while I try to explain them. First of all, there's 5 objectives, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. The middle does not have a number. They go from left to right in our perspective. Every turn at the end of the supremacy phase, we are going to hide dice with a number 1 through 4 on them. At the end of the turn, before we score points, we reveal those dice. For each one that we pick, that objective does not score. So the middle one always scores, and then we can turn off 1, 2, 3, or 4. If both players pick the same objective, then that's actually worth double points instead of not scoring at all. In addition to that, as long as Eric Schurr is alive, the 100 Kingdoms player, me, can pick 2 objectives, and they can also pick whether or not both of those objectives double score or score nothing. So you can either deny or increase your own score. We'll talk more about that later, but there's also 2 points for holding every objective, 1 extra point for holding the center, so that one's worth 3, and then 2 points for holding at least two of any other objectives, so the numbered ones. For the first turn, 100 Kingdoms has the Mercenary Crossbowmen and Joined Chapter Mage coming in, and they also have the Mounted Squires. The Dwegum have 2 Hold Ballista units, with 1 containing the Steel Shaper and the Inferno Automata coming in. 100 Kingdom player wins the Supremacy roll, and both players flip their character cards first to delay, and thus 100 Kingdoms goes on with the Mounted Squires. I have the Mounted Squires move up 19 inches directly onto an objective, and then they just kind of hang out there. I realize that the way that they're lined up, they won't be able to move fast past the house, so I scooch them over a little, and that's fine. We're all friends here. The Inferno Automata scooch up 14 inches with their own double march. Eric Schurr grants 2 infantry units around. Vanguard, Mercenary Crossbowmen are infantry, so you bet your horses that I'm going to move up 3 moves. Brandon is afraid of the Mounted Squires, so he moves his Hold Ballistae with the Steel Shaper up the tiniest scooch from their table edge. 100 Kingdoms player, me, runs out of cards because I had to act first, and the Hold Ballistae, the second unit, they scooch up 10 inches into the forest. Then I remind Brandon that he has a standard because we build them because they look cool. And so he moves them up a little tiny bit extra. They get deeper into the forest and they're ready for next turn. End of round 1, nobody has scored anything, and we've established some light vanguard maneuvers. I have my horses ready to charge into something, maybe, but he stayed a distance away. Inferno Automata are closing in on the mercenary crossbows. For round 2, on the 100 Kingdoms side, Men-at-Arms are coming in, and River Wardens are coming in. They both have Vanguard, because Eric Schurr. Well, the River Wardens have it naturally, but they're both going to be Vanguard moving up. The Dwegum, they get reinforcements from the Hellbringer Drake, and they pass to no other rolls, and they win the Supremacy roll. So they're going to be acting first with a Tempered Steel Shaper, who casts Hone Blades, Temper Blades, some kind of buff on the Inferno Automata, succeeds. It doesn't come up this turn, so it doesn't matter. I activate my Mounted Squires. They do a free reform with their fluid formation. I move them in between the rock and the hard place known as the building to get out of line of sight of the Hold Ballistae. Realize that it's not a large enough gap for them to fit, and so I retroactively decide, part of that reform, I'm moving a guy to the back rank too, which is a totally illegal play by intent, right? You know, we're just having a good time. We're all friends here. We do whatever we want. But anyways, yeah, it means that I actually ruined my plan because the ballisti are going to shoot me in the butt anyways. Whatever. Granted, makes a whole mess out of the woods that we have there as he's trying to move his hold ballisti forward. They take their 1 5-inch march, and then they shoot, as mentioned, right into the butt of the mounted squires, and they end up doing 2 points of damage, which is not enough to kill a stand, but still sad, because my entire goal was to stop them from killing anyone, from doing any damage, but I couldn't do it. The terrain, it's supposed to be 12 inches away. There should be plenty of room, but, you know, I'm a fool. My 6 stands of men-at-arms come on behind those mounted squires. They vanguard move, thanks to Eric Schurr, up onto the objective. And spoiler alert, I think they stay here the rest of the game, and they just don't do anything, but who knows? I think I moved them like 5 inches more forward, like 1 more march. It's great.
So this guy is coming on the board. He's going to move, double move of 7 for 14 total. So he's going to end up scooching forward and just off the objective. And that is his turn.
Chapter Mage casts Call Fog on her own unit and succeeds.
The Infernal Automata are going to move up. They are going to stay out of 9 of the enemy, and they're going crossbow range, and they're going to move. Their move is 7, so they can move a total of 14, but they're going to move slightly less, so they stay out of the range.
I take aim and fire with my mercenary crossbowmen and end up doing 6 damage to the Infernal Automata. They lose a stand and 1 damage on another one. And forgive me for not ADRing every little bit. I realized we might have some decent commentary. The hold ballisti move through the forest with another double march, and they just kind of establish their position. I think they're in range to the mercenary crossbowmen. Therefore, they're in range to shoot. I guess that's what I meant the first time. Anyways, the mercenary crossbowmen and those guys are going to be shooting each other unless the Infernal Automata gum up the mercenary crossbowmen. We'll see how that goes out. There are those mounted squires around the corner. They're scary.
Yes, recording.
Whoop! With 4 march actions due to a combination of Vanguard and their built-in ability to take an extra march action each activation, I move a blistering 24 inches up the board with the River Wardens, and that is the end of my stack.
Well, recording, Isaac, that was also the end of Brandon's stack, so that's round 2 for you.
All right, for the secret objectives, I picked 2 and 3. What did you pick?
Oh, you're supposed to pick 2?
I picked 2. It's my special rule.
I picked 1.
Oh, okay. So I score 0 points. You score 0 points.
I scored 0 points, so not on the objective, though.
We go into round 3, no scores.
Thanks for taking that over, past Isaac and Brandon. For turn 3, everything but the Hangman's do, so the Blades of Providence, the Steel Legion, and the Household Knights come in for the 100 Kingdoms player. That's me. And for the Dweghom player, well, Brandon doesn't say and I don't remember, so we'll find out what comes in for him during the round. And Dweghom end up winning Supremacy.
Okay. I'm going to use their Fluid Formation to pivot there. And then they're going to do a charge. Their movement is 7, which
They guarantee make it. They hit corner to corner and then close the door.
Okay. Because they charge, they get impact hits.
I block the 1 impact hit that they formed. I block all 3 of the hits that their clash does. My mounted squires take 0 damage.
Are they 2s or 3s?
They're 2 plus shield.
My Imperial Ranger Corps activate, and they fluid formation, and then triple march, and they go another 18 inches, way past the hold ballisti, who I'm 99% sure wanted to shoot them. And now there's a forest between them, so, like, what's going on there? As past Isaac said,
4 actions. It's amazing, folks.
the hold ballisti now devoid any easy victims. decides to take aim and shoot at the exposed mounted squire. End up doing 2 damage, removing the Count Palatine, so no more counts is always inspired.
Chapter Mage, Call Fog, succeed.
The Hellbringer Drake struggles a lot, but eventually gets up there onto the objective with a double march. He's now there, scoring points, being kind of a threat, I assume. Just a thorn in my side. I'm annoyed at this. Why couldn't he just play in such a way that was advantageous to me, his opponent?
I activate the Mercenary Crossbowmen, who, empowered by Call Fog, just barely have enough range to shoot at the Hold Ballista after taking aim. You take 10 damage from my barrage from the Mercenary Crossbowmen. Oh, your command stand wasn't the center stand. You were in an illegal formation.
Do you want me to put him back in the center?
No, yeah, just scooch him over. Yeah.
The Hold Ballistae that just got horribly ravaged by crossbow shots take aim, or, well, they rally, then they shoot, and deal 1 damage to the Mercenary Crossbowman back.
I activate Mounted Squires. I take 4 Aura of Death.
Yep.
Right? 4?
Yeah, 2 per, so 4.
All right.
Yep.
4 Aura of Death. That is... I'm defense 3, so I take 2 damage.
That's exactly what I want. And I killed the guy in the back, so this is going well for me, I think.
It wasn't going that well, because he just took 3 more damage from the attacks and the resolve damage, so he's almost dead on another stand.
They bashed in.
And before this, Brandon stalled with Stoneface King.
Brandon stalled with Stoneface King, so make sure you mention that.
Thanks, Past Isaac, but I don't need to mention that, because you already did. The Hellseaters march on the board exactly in the corner, and they only come on just barely enough to actually get on the board, and then they shoot at the River Wardens, and they do 6 points of damage, and there's a bit in the recording that I'm like, ha, you took my bait, and Brandon's like, oh, I have this big plan, I'm going to walk up onto the objective. It's not going to walk on the objective, because he only does 6 damage. He only did 6 damage. It's not even that low of spike. He was like, I'm going to invest this 180 point ranged unit. I'm going to shoot at your River Wardens. They're 120 points. That's totally fine. This is a good investment. He never makes it to the objective, folks. So I'm going to spoiler alert that. I mean, it's not a spoiler alert if I do it after. Anyways, you got spoiled. 6 damage. 6 damage in there in the very corner of the board. Oh boy.
So, I drew Noble Lord, stalled. He drew Tempered Steel Shaper, stalled. I drew Eric Schurr, stalled. Throne of Anagalish.
Okay, he comes in and he moves 14 from the back line and is moving up to take the center.
I bring my Household Knights on the flank opposite of the Hellbringer Drake. They move up 14 inches and then use their 15th inch to do a 1-inch wheel, which doesn't do anything. And I'm looking at this footage like, what was my plan? Was I accomplishing anything with that 1-inch wheel, or was I just wheeling to wheel? Because I think I would have been closer overall if I just did 1 inch farther forward, and I don't know. Whatever. His Tempered Sorcerer activates, throws a fireball, and deals 4 more damage to the Imperial Wardens, breaking them.
All right. With Vanguard and move 6 in a standard, they can move up to 19 inches. Oh, wait. From the board edge.
So what you're seeing Past Isaac do here is I move them all up. I realize that there's not enough room. I shift some things together or around. Realize there's not enough room. Shift some things around. We're all having a good time. We're playing by intention. It all works out. And then after I do all this, I realize that it's still illegal, and
I remember that they have a mandatory center spot. Wait, so I don't think that I can make this work. Oh, I can make it work like that. I can make it work if they all come in on 1 rank. They have enough room. So, boom, that's how it ends up happening. All right.
So, Ragodosh and his special unit are entering, and they are going to move a total of 10. Because Ragodosh slows his unit down.
They have a standard, so they can go up to 11.
Ooh, that's a good point. Boop. There we go. Okay, go.
So Eric Schurr and the normal non-veteran Steel Legion move up. They basically waste their vanguard because the 11 inches that they would have had basically get them directly behind. Boop.
So that was round 3. And then we have this conversation about the score, which I think is funny. Comment below if you hated it and didn't think it added anything. But I don't know. I think my own incompetence is pretty fun.
All right, so 1 is worth double points. What this means is I get 2 points, and you get 2 points. So we're at 2
Wait,
and
I thought
2.
you put 2. 1 and 2.
1 and 2. And you picked 1.
Yeah,
So that's worth 0. So you get 2 points. I get 2 points.
Oh, I thought you are blocked points on 1 and 2.
Yes.
This is 2.
Correct.
So I get 0 points for this.
Oh, you're right. I get 2 points. Ha! I'm winning.
That took a lot to explain.
Sorry.
Round 4, I activate the River Wardens first. They use Fluid Formation to reform facing the opposite side of the forest, deeper towards Brandon's board edge. Then they take 2 march actions, 1 normal and 1 free additional, and then they rally. And that's just so many actions for this dumb 2-wound command stand. Oh my god. Brandon's Hellbringer Drake sidesteps a little bit to get closer to the Steel Legion, further away from the Household Knights, and fires. And, well, deals 1 point of damage to the Steel Legion. Incredible. Just amazing show. My Mounted Squires activate. They take 1 damage from the Inferno Automata's Aura of Death, and in return they deal 4 damage with their clash, and that converts into 1 extra resolve damage, which means that the Inferno Automata are broken with 1 stand on 1 wound left, which is a pretty impressive showing for 2 Mounted Squires, which aren't really an attacky, fighty unit, but they're doing a good job here. Or are Inferno Automata just not good? I don't know. I'll leave that up to the community to decide. I'm not here for a hot take today.
I rally, and then I attack back.
All right.
I got 4 attacks, looking for 2s. 1.
Looking for a 3. I block it. I take no damage.
Going.
So these guys march. 7. They have a minimum charge of 10, which makes it. I have 4 in the front arc, so it's going to be a front arc charge. I'm going to make a charge. And end. Vaguely. Because of lances, it's going to be weird, but I'm lined up corner to corner there. Okay, so I do 11 wounds on the charge, and then 7, 8 on the resolve.
Yeah.
So that's the power of Speed of Horse plus
I'm gonna try not to
Oliphant's Roar.
Oliphant's Roar, we said was great in the review.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Eric Schurr activates Bastion and Double Time on his non-Blades of Providence boyos. And they march up 16 inches, establishing a monstrous line.
The Dwegum's lone stand of Hold Ballisti in the middle of the board in that woods. They take aim and they shoot at the Household Knights. And they deal absolutely 0 damage. I block it on defense. They do their 5 attacks or whatever. Their 5 attacks. I block the 2 hits that they make. Oh well. Sorry, Dwegum. Guess you suck.
Chapter Mage heals 1 damage from her own unit with her Water School.
The 4 mercenary crossbowmen, or 3 stands plus Chapter Mage, who has the Deadly Shots relic. They march up to right behind the Blades of Providence, and they deal 4 points of damage to the throne of Anagalash. Keen-eyed watchers / listeners will notice that I'm skipping some things. Whenever we just draw a character and they don't do anything, I'm not even mentioning it. We mention it in the previous battle reports, but like, it doesn't matter that the Steel Shaper just twiddled his thumbs. He didn't even cast a spell on himself. It doesn't matter that Ragodosh did something. Anyways, the Blades of Providence move up to bully the Throne of Anagalish off the objective. Even if he charges them, he won't have his toe in. They're like 1 millimeter past it. So tactical genius here. This is the power of the 100 Kingdoms led by Eric Schurr. The men-at-arms bastion up, and they take a tiny little march to, I don't know, improve their position on the objective. They don't matter. They're just guys. They're guys that I spent 255 points on instead of 105 points. They do exactly the same thing that a 105-point version of their unit would do. What am I doing? Everyone says, oh, don't take veterans. I don't listen to them. This is what happens. I gracefully allow Brandon to do a highly controversial maneuver. I let him just flip his stands using a reform action. I let him just do that. I don't make him do the spinny thing and then we measure the new positions against the old. I just say, go ahead, spin them around, take your shots at my River Wardens. Oh, guess what? There's only 2 of them left. They have evade 2 or no other defensive abilities. Guess what? They die even without aiming happening. So goodbye, River Wardens. You did your job. The Fireforged are trapped forever, and the Ballisti are now facing towards the board edge. Like, what more could I ask a 120-point unit to do? Best investment ever. I love those guys. I love that they just have the extra march ability. It's kind of insane, kind of unbalanced. Good thing they're not tournament legal, right?
Okay, so Ragodosh is Bloodbound. Activate. They march 6.
It's 5.
Oh, yeah, because Ragodosh slows them down.
I'm just going to move him here. Is that okay? And then we do the charge. And then this would be a 5-inch charge with Unstoppable. So I'm going to...
I mean, you make it no matter what.
There's a lot of debate about exactly how this charge is going to end. And I cut a lot of it out, but I left some of it in. And as Brandon says during the process,
this is compelling content people come here for, is figuring out wheels.
We do some other stuff involving character cards that don't do anything. And then Brandon's, the Dwegum players, Hold Warriors, finally come on the board. Didn't realize that they weren't on the board yet. And they walk forward 2 marches.
So, Gilded Legion, they are coming on from the reinforcement line that I was just reminded of. So it's going to be something like that.
They got Vanguard or something?
They do have Vanguard.
Weird. Did you say that?
I did.
I know. I'm just
Did I?
You did.
Oh, okay. So let's see. This is going to be weird, but they have 6-inch moves, so their first is going to bring them on like that. Then their second with their banner brings them up to there. And then their third shimmies them forward. I want them to collect the point and also be available to charge. So the Gilded Legion are on the board. That's my last card.
The Throne of Anagalish activates. Anagalash? Anagalash. I don't know. PB, comment on this video with a pronunciation guide. Post a video. Okay, so he charges. He can't get all the way there because he's a big model, overhangs his base a lot. The swords are tall on Steel Legion. So he moves forward as best as he can. We're doing the best we can. He does a complicated series of, impact hits with Terrifying, which doesn't actually affect the Blades of Providence because they have Bravery. And then he does Clash, and he's got Relentless Blows, and I'm pretty sure he's got Flurry. And he ends up killing 6 stands, breaking the Blades of Providence. who also, they have bravery, which means that they unbreak at the beginning of their next activation. So maybe he can shatter them. Let's see if that happens. Maybe he has like 2 more activations. I just flipped my last card. Maybe he can shatter them. Let's find out. The Steelforged come on the table. They leapfrog over the Hellseaters, which are Fireforged. It's a whole Forged fest over here. They approach, but do not arrive at the objective on that flank. And the Dragon Slayers finally arrive on the scene, and they push forward directly behind the old Ballisti who are facing them. And the Dragon Slayers are like, what? The whole Ballisti are like, what? No, there was guys here. This makes sense in context, I promise. No. And that's round 4. This is the point where I reread the rules. Because Brandon had the gall of scoring any points, I actually open up the rule book and I look and I realize that I can double my points or zero out his points. So he does gain 2 points. And I originally was only going to gain 5, but then I realized, oh no, I'm actually getting 13 because I double the 2 that I picked, which were the 2 that I held, 1 and 3. And so those are worth 4 points each, then 2 points for holding 2, and then 3 points for holding the center. So I go up to 15 points, and he's at 2 points. Yay! I win Supremacy. Blades of Providence go first. They inspire. They clash with Flurry into the Throne of Anagalish, and they eliminate the guy. They completely just... He's off the table. He's gone. Goodbye, Storied Regiment. My Storied Regiment's stronger than yours, clearly. Come on. The Bloodbound, Ragodosh's personal hold Thanes, they activate, they inspire, and they clash, and they do a meaty amount of damage to the Household Knights. They do... I should have checked before I deleted the audio of this segment. I could still check, but I'm not going to. I'm feeling lazy today. They deal enough damage to break the unit and do some damage to one of the front ranks guys. So that's quite a bit of damage. It's like 12 or something. Ragodosh himself, with relentless blows from Fueled by the Furnace, he's a nasty piece of work. He's real nasty. We don't like him. But some people might like him. I'm not saying he's the worst. If you're a Dweghom player, I'm sure he'd be great. If only he was tournament legal. Let's make him tournament legal. Let's go Ragodosh. I activate my Hangman's Due and make a very dumb mistake. It's not really a mistake. We'll talk about it later. Brandon tries to talk me out of this. I'm like, I'm going to charge off the objective onto your Hold Thanes, and I'm going to do damage. I'm confident. I've got 15 points. You've got 2. How could this go wrong for me? Luckily, fortune favors the bold today, and it doesn't go wrong for me, but there are situations where this could go wrong for me. But it works out this time, so, I'm a tactical genius because I chose the right time to do it, and that's perfect. Apologies for the weird camera here. I should not have been moving stuff while he's moving stuff. That's amateur hour. Everybody makes mistakes. He moves his Steelforged up, Brandon does, and they do a charge into the Eric Schurr unit of Steel Legion, non-veteran, non-Blades of Providence. It's a march charge, so they only get impact hits, and he ends up doing 2 points of damage because he puts his clash up to 5 with the special bonus ability that Dweghom Steelforged get. What's it called? I don't know. It's Fueled by the Furnace. I don't know. So they can choose +2 attacks or +2 clash.
Dumbest thing on the planet, and I issue a duel from my Noble Lord into Ragodosh.
Can you do that since you're broken?
Crap! Okay, he rallies his unit. I hate you so much. Also going to Entourage into his unit. So they're unbroken. The unit is going to attack.
Specifically, they're going to inspire and clash in between the 3 remaining Household Knights. Well, 2, and then the Noble Lord, who has Weapon Master, which doesn't matter, into Hardened 2. But I digress. They do a total of 5 points between Clash and Resolve to the Bloodbound, which kills a stand and does a considerable amount of damage to one of the other remaining stands. I'm pleased with it. Not as pleased as if I had gotten to duel first. The Dragon Slayers activate, and they double march past the Hold Ballisti, who hilariously are still facing the board edge. The River Wardens did 120 points worth of work. The Mounted Squires pass both their defense rolls for Aura of Death. They clash without inspiring, finish off the Inferno Automata, and reform to face the action. The single command stand of Hold Ballisti take aim and fire into the Household Knights, killing a stand which happens to be my beautiful standard bearer. Very rude of them. Just so sad that a standard dies.
Chapter Mage is going to cast that spell that Call Fog on herself. She gets 2 successes. She successfully casts Call Fog on herself. Boop.
And then she entourages into the mercenary crossbowmen, who wheel up and they unleash fire onto the lone command stand of Hold Ballisti and kill it. Who would have guessed?
All right, folks, a little bit anticlimactic. I know that we were only just about to end round 4 or 5, but we've been at it for 3.5 hours. Our battery ran out on our camera, and we realized that it would be another hour and a half, 2 hours to finish with what we've got. So apologies for that. We realized that we had basically solved the mission due to the mechanic. So
Yeah, at the final area, Isaac was scored enough earlier because he had the ability to double score. Even if I was using my dice to defensively defend, he still had a lot more options to always make that double. And with the current score of what I have and what he has, even if I was scoring a lot during my turns, I don't think I would be able to catch up at all.
Yeah, and even if I started losing objectives, like if he actually broke ground, like if you remember, he had the Steel Forge that just charged into Eric Schurr's Steel Legion. They would have held him there for another turn or two, and then he would have had to grind through the Men-at-Arms to get onto that point. I would be scoring 6 points from that objective until he got to it. And then once he got to it, I would just be like, okay, that objective is now worth 0 for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So I'm looking at like 3 more turns where you can have up to 2 turns of scoring it, but I would just turn it off. So like, it's worth 4 points every time that I score it. So that's 12 points of me scoring it and 0 for him to grind through to it.
Yeah.
So... and then I'm holding the middle, so I'm gaining another 3 points. I'm looking at that. He can shoot at me with his Hold Ballisti, but he doesn't have any way of, like, attacking it in melee. So I'm looking at it. It's got 2.5 stands left. He's at long range, so he's either marching closer and aiming. I hold that for another 3 turns. So that's, like, 21 points on the board just there.
Yeah.
And... you have 18, and I'm already
and you've killed a lot of
15 ahead of you.
Yeah, and you've killed a lot of my good units. I think one of the misplays I had is the throne, the special Iron Drake, was really good down the center, but you getting... I did a lot to your Steel Legion, but you activate winning the next round of priority and then killing him really hurt. The other item is I kind of misplayed the Hell Drake. I thought I could take a little bit more than... So
those
I knew the charges
brutal.
are huge, and I just thought he was a little more tanky, and he wasn't. So
14
and I did
wounds,
nothing.
3 defense?
Yeah, and not a lot of 3 resolve. I think the resolve was the thing that like super spiked it out.
Especially with Terrifying.
The Terrifying, yeah. So, and he did nothing in the game. He did like 2 damage to a thing that you healed out.
I think he did 2 damage to Steel Legion, which I did not heal.
Oh, you did heal. So so it wasn't doing much for the amount of points. The other item, and Isaac called it out, I don't think it'll make it to the audio, is I put my special Fireforge unit on the left flank to try to pin down his Imperial
My River Wardens. Their storied regiment.
And my goal was to sweep forward to grab the objectives and then have them keep pewing. What actually happened is they got stuck, and then I had to try to reinforce with melee units, and the melee units are now, because that's where he put big blocks of units, now the ranged units are behind the melee units and can't shoot anyone, and they're dwegged, so they're very slow. So I overcommitted on a side. I don't have a way to affect these other areas, and the only thing that's really doing well is the Bloodbound, the Special Thane unit.
Yeah, and even then, they're slowly... Like, they did a quite a bit of damage to the household knights, but the Hangman's Due are there making enough attacks at high enough clash, where it's going to, like, I've done enough damage to you where it's now hurting you. I only took one of your attacks away because of your formation.
Correct.
But 2 more wounds, I take away 4 more attacks.
Correct. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And the one thing I'll say is if you're watching at home and you're getting excited to play with your friend and you're the Dweg player, get more Thanes. I feel they're really good. They're probably, I think, one of my favorite of the storied units from this. And we had a minimum size. And I think that is the thing. Because the fact that your Sword of Providence is a 6-block, I think is a huge benefit.
So the other thing is... Never mind. The River Wardens you can take 2 of. There is a bonus for this mission where if you win missions 1 and 2, you can take 2 of them. So you could have like 2 units of Bloodbound or 2 Thrones of Anagalosh, which that would be ridiculous, especially thematically. Like, what's the lore there? But that's something we'll talk about later.
Yep.
Yeah, I got 80 points of free character upgrades, but...
Bleh. So
yeah,
that's this game. We're gonna hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, comments, or if you think that this wasn't so solved, obviously let us know down below. We are going to do another video where we talk about the experience playing this, things we like, things we would. We hope they improve for the next one, so stick around.
Yep, a full retrospective on the Crucible of Wills, the Stoneface campaign by Bellum. See you in the next Conquest.
The 100 Kingdoms are victorious. The battle was bloody and violent beyond belief, with cannon fire from station siege drakes covering the once verdant and peaceful fields in a sea of scorching flame and roiling ash. Each destructive barrage from the Helldrakes tore through the very earth and caused near uncontrollable devastation, engulfing everything that was caught within such blasts in hellish torrents of supercharged flame. The lines of the opposing armies eventually merged into an indistinguishable, writhing mass of mud, steel, and bloodshed, as battlefield tactics and strategies were stretched to their limits and devolved into pure, unadulterated violence. Yeah, so I'm not going to read the entire 2-page final slide, but I did figure that it was probably worth talking about the end narrative. You know, this was the sally forth. Pravia could fall. Basically, Eric Schurr, through his heroics, inspires the Baron to also ride out with his household knights. I guess that's the guys that took out the Hellbringers. And then Ragodosh attacked him because this is the guy wielding the Dragon Blade. So, like, we played out the fluff perfectly. So, guys wielding the Dragon Blade. Eric Schurr goes to help him out. Realizes that Ragodosh doesn't care about Pravia. He only cares about the Dragon Blade. He sees the way Ragodosh's eyes twinkle looking at that sword that the Baron is wielding. And so he fights his way to the Baron. Baron is like, "Oh, thank you." Eric punches him, knocks him out, grabs the sword and throws it to the Dwegum. And the Dwegum go, "Oh, neat." And then peace. They just leave. They just go. They go. And that's the end of the Crucible of Wills, the Stoneface campaign. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Tune in next time for our retrospective. As mentioned in the actual end, this is end 2.0. This is the secret end for tuning in for this long. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. See you in the next Conquest.